Welcome back to the show, everybody. We got a good one for you today. Regardless of the market bleeding heavily this morning or this afternoon, we are moving forward. Lots of news to cover today. Just listen to some of it. Phasing out proof of work. Don't believe it, it's still true. Chris Larson celebrating Ethereum for switching to proof of stake. Congressman speaks on China's CBDC and banning cryptocurrency from businesses. We'll talk about it. We're going to hear from the former head of the Office of Comptroller of Currency. Yes, that's right. The new CEO of Binance US, Brian Brooks, is going to speak on the crypto market going down today and a little bit about the Ripple SEC case. We're going to talk about that as well. And we're going to talk about also, will we hit 70 cents? You know, one expert out here, actually a couple of them, told us about the downside price targets if we don't continue the upside. And if we stay above the 70 cents range, we are still on target for all of those amazing price calls that we've heard from the weeks prior. So let's go ahead and roll that beautiful intro. Here we go.
This is Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Subscribe for new content notifications. Now, here's Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. You can follow me on Twitter at BackupBradleyAbove and everything that we're talking about here today. Make sure you follow us on Twitter as well as on YouTube because we do cover a lot of news that doesn't make the channel, but we try to get the biggest stories first. So right now we're looking at 1.6 trillion for the cryptocurrency space collectively. That is a really, really small number. We have been as high as 2.5. So the market itself is off by old money by almost $1 trillion this afternoon. So make sure you keep that in mind when you see the prices down all around today. Now, we did have some news come out that affected price. I'm not going to run these prices back down. I'm just going to look at XRP right now for today. 123 is where we are at this time. We're down 21.30% on a 24-hour, 11.75 on the 7-day. Let's go ahead and get to the range right now. And this is Bitcoin's range. Well, let's look at Bitcoin real quick because I did have that lined up. 38,550 right now is where we are. It's off 10.95 on the 24-hour, off 30% plus on the 7-day. Let's look at the Bitcoin range. It ranged from 31,000 to 43,000. We know yesterday it was at least 45,000 plus, and we went as low as 31,000, now back at 37,249. And that is based on some news today. Of course, we had Elon Musk dumping on it a bit with the comments he made a couple days ago about Tesla not carrying or offering the acceptance of Bitcoin for payment now, and he may not hold it or what have you. I'm paraphrasing, but the bigger news was news that came out this morning about China not allowing some of their financial companies to be able to engage in cryptocurrency and or Bitcoin. We'll talk about that in a second as well. So all of that's been detrimental to the market, but let's keep going because there's more news to cover. Bank of America and fund managers say long Bitcoin is the most crowded trade in the world. Uh-oh. Is that a comment that it is overbought and the position is overbought or oversought? You know, here's one thing I could say. I do see a way, and I've always said that I believe everything runs on the ledger. Well, the XRP ledger is what I've always referenced. But as the market has grown, as the space has grown, we've seen utility fork like Flare Networks happen. We've seen things like Trustline be developed. We've also seen things like the XLM Stellar Network, right? Which, in fact, is the creator of the XRP ledger, Jed McCaleb. Shout out to him. And we know that between just those three things, all of them are some derivative of the XRP ledger. When Jed McCaleb created the XRP ledger and then left Ripple, he took the open source code with him to create the XLM Stellar Network. We know that Flare Networks is a utility fork of the XRP ledger. When I think about these things and that this is how BTC can be brought onto the XRP ledger, it can be issued directly on the XRP ledger in a decentralized manner, but it can through flare as an F asset, then move to the XRP ledger. And we see the original tweet here by Trustline says, if Bitcoin becomes an F asset, FBTC can theoretically be trustlessly issued on the XRP ledger. It would even be an IOU. It would be an actual money. And this is a more defined, more refined vision of what I've been talking about since I started this channel about everything running on the XRP ledger. And in a sense, in a broader sense, that's exactly what we're saying here, right? And this is a way to make that happen. And I think it is a way to make that happen. And we will see what develops from there. But we do know this. This is Hall of Famer XRP Crypto Wolf says NVIDIA weakens potential hash rate from GeForce chips to discourage miners from using its GPUs. NVIDIA is obviously saying they don't like miners and proof of work. How much more clear do they need to be? You know, this proof of work business is not going away. You're going to see in just a second, you know, some people are looking for high ground when it's coming to crypto or other things or inflation. And I always think of tech companies and fintech in times of crisis after a pandemic linked to private investing made simple. They have everything. And by the way, Uphold's back on the board, and so is Kraken. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're an accredited investor, you need to contact them and register. These are incredible products that do not last long, and they are constantly expanding their palette for companies that are in the innovation sector of many different areas of industry. If you take carbon, for instance, they're doing things like 3D printing for parts on Lamborghinis. I mean, that's pretty remarkable. Then you have better.com, which is really like online mortgage. And you could really, I think if I remember correctly, they said May 11th, I think they made an announcement they were going to go public with Aurora Acquisition Group. So there you have it. And I do remember, and of course I'm not guaranteeing any returns or what have you, but I do remember that people that bought into Coinbase when it was on this platform on Link2, I think the buy-in was somewhere around $30, $32. And we all know that Coinbase, it went public, for $300, and it's sitting just below that now. So if you're interested in private equity, make sure you check this out. This company is full of really great people. All right, let's get on with the news. Chris Larson congratulates Ethereum. Great news for the planet and for Ethereum. Will more POW-based assets make the switch? Well, look, I think it's great that they're switching from proof of work. We obviously know proof of work is not the solution, right? It's the problem. That's the reason that we've seen Anthony Pompliano launch what I believe is going to be, unfortunately, a failed effort for the pizza box campaign to raise money, to really cloak the idea of raising money in a human rights charity, but really it's for developers to try to pay developers to make Bitcoin a more efficient network. But in turn, what you're doing really addresses the issue that David Schwartz addressed months ago about the best incentive for a protocol is no incentive. Because the reality is what you're saying is we're going to try to raise money in a human rights charity, right? And this is what they've said. And then from that, we're going to use that money to entice developers to make Bitcoin network better. But the reality is Bitcoin miners would have to be mining themselves and developing themselves into a less profitable situation in order to do that. So the reality is that Bitcoin miners and validators of transactions are not going to want to do that. You know, hey, we'll give you some money if you help make the Bitcoin network better and cheaper, and then you'll make less money. You still want to help? I think you can figure it out from there. So then we're looking at this here. SEC claims XRP holders are too partial, citing physical violence references. This is an overreach, to say the least. I mean, boy, I tell you, I asked this the other day, but I don't believe there is an ounce of integrity at the SEC at this point, and it's just as clear here. Attorney John Deaton denies promoting violence against the SEC. He made some comments in videos or on social media and being brash about his frustration with the SEC. They were nothing more than humorous or satirical comments, to be honest with you. I'm not even going to address that with any real seriousness, but what what I will tell you that is very serious is that I'm getting together later this week with XRP attorney CEO and John Deaton, and we're going to sit down and have a conversation on what is going on with the case with Ripple and XRP and the XRP investor side of that and how much progress he expects to make on that. So we will get together and we will share that video with you. Now, this is a reminder that Cordite, the Cordite Foundation, which has been brought on of late to the R3 platform because the R3 platform in its inception really partnered with Ripple in the early days. Then they were sued and they broke that situation up. And essentially what R3 realized is that it forgot to make its own token for the platform. So that's what they've done here with the Cordite Foundation and XDC. Now, XDC does exist. I like it. I'm not against it. I think XDC works front end and XRP is the solution to settle back end for it. And that's just my story, and I'm sticking to it because I believe XRP and XLM will serve back end for most what's going on in the world today in the future. So that's that news there. I wanted to say that welcoming UBS to the Quarter blockchain. Did you want to join them? It's come on in, come join the Cordite and Cordite Foundation with XDC. And it is good news, but it's also a reminder too that American Express, Santander, back as far as 2017 have been in bed with Ripple. And the reality is that when I look even further down here, you could see a number of other financial institutions have been experiencing or experimenting with distributed ledger projects as far back as 2017, and we know UBS has been pretty active in that area as well. So moving on, we see China Merchants Bank subsidiary Nervos Foundation launch a $50 million blockchain fund, but that's on the heels of knowing this, because this is really what came out and a lot of people are pointing to that shook the market. And we're about to hear from Brian Brooks, the new CEO, former OCC chair. We are about to hear from him as the Binance CEO US. Listen to this. Warren Davidson, congressman, says as China prepares to launch a central bank digital currency, it's clear they want a system of control more than a means of exchange and a store of value. What a shock that their communist party doesn't like money that truly belongs to the people. And here he's remarking about the Chinese financial payment bodies barred from cryptocurrency. Now, we don't know how long that'll be or if that stays in effect or becomes permanent, but it does speak to exactly what Warren Davidson was saying. So shout out to the congressman on that little tidbit there. And I certainly think, it's more than Elon. That kind of news has had a definite negative impact on the market today. Now, we went over that about the SEC. I'm not even going to give it any more energy, but keep a lookout for that video to come from attorney CEO, myself, and possibly Jeremy Hogan as well. So, all right. So a reminder about the Chinese ban we just talked about. We're going to hear from Brian Brooks now, who is going to talk about this. And he talks about one of the reasons the price is down and briefly mentions at the end of the clip about the Ripple SEC decision not being in yet.
Okay, so one of the reasons that Bitcoin is down the last couple of days is because of people's interpretation of the Chinese government's being believed to have said we're basically banning crypto. So you could get a lot of clarity on price stability by just knowing that the U.S. government wasn't going to ban crypto. And this was a point that I made when I was still in government, was to say nobody's going to ban Bitcoin. All right, there's a $2 trillion asset class in crypto that's not going to go away. So let's start by saying it's okay to be in the asset class. And then what somebody needs to say is if a crypto token is a security, for instance, that doesn't mean it's illegal. It just means that like other securities, there are certain disclosures and registrations that have to be made. And we need the SEC to create a pathway for that to happen. I mean, if you think about the Ripple litigation, Romaine, people wouldn't be in a panic about it if in the event Ripple lost, they could simply register the token and trade on a securities exchange. The problem is that hasn't been allowed yet. Okay.
Exactly. That hasn't been allowed yet. And that's really where we're at here. We're missing legal precedent. That's what we're talking about. We're missing that, right? So we know that this current administration is having the acting comptroller now, Michael Hsu, is calling for a review of Brian Brooks' decisions and the cryptocurrency guidance issued by the OCC under his tenure. And I think that's a huge mistake to call any of that into question. But if they do, I would like to remark, this is how you understand where the money comes from and about how the money rules the world, right? Because if this is in fact something going on here, I guarantee you, if there's anything that walks back what Brian Brooks has done, you can find money at the end of that trail. Now, looking here, it says we need a Ripple test to stop the SEC overreach on cryptocurrency. Have they been watching this channel? We said this months ago, didn't we? When the case first came out, what's what we talked about? We went through the whole Howie case. We broke down what it is, the orange grows, the expectation of profit, the whole bit. You know, we learned a lot. And if you haven't watched it, go back and watch it, search it in the playlist. But, you know, we do need legal precedent, right? We do need legal precedent on this case, summary judgment or not, go the distance, whatever it is. Just give me legal precedent on this case. And once you do, let's get Congress to go ahead and draft us a framework for the space. And then we could see the SEC and the CFTC and the Treasury and the IRS and all the other entities that are rightfully involved and overlap in this asset class can draft the proper regulation from within their agencies. Now, let's take a look at XRP right now. This is what we all want to know. And I made a video this morning, how low can we go? You can go check it out. It's a great video and there's a lot in there for you. But right here, we see that we've dipped as low as 97 cents today, 97.99 on the low end and 164 on the upper end, sitting at 121.36 right now. So let's take a look at some of this stuff because I share this for a reason. Here we see supports when we were up in the area of 140, 150, and even 160, 170 range. Dark Defender was sharing these lower support lines should we roll over in price and come down. Here he showed just a figurative rollover, just as an exaggeration to show how it might go. But you can see when support of that was 133, 126, 113. We broke all of those this morning, continuing to pull back. And if you were to go down further on his chart and take it to, let's say, like 75 cent range, one is called, or 95 cent, 85 in this range here, 80 cent, you can see the next line down. So you could just bring it back from these other areas of ranges down through the chart and just keep looking to see where they would be if the prices continue to roll back, and they have. So now let's go ahead and look at this from CoinsKid. CoinsKid reminded us on May 9th, he said, put some cheeky bids in on XRP at 74 cents. Good luck. If it gets, he's like, if I hit it, great. And if I don't, you know, so be it. But, you know, that's how far it could range. And he even showed us and told us that in the video here from back on May 15th. Watch just this section here.
Speaking, it's a broadening falling channel, basically. And you're doing something like this. Okay, and it's the opposite, basically, of a rising channel, which is a reversal trend. So, you know, at one point, wherever you go down to, you will break out to the upside because it's a reversal pattern. So if you do start to come down and you continue to make the lower lows, okay, and the lower highs.
And there you see it right there. Looky here, 90 cent range. He brought it right down in there, right down in that 90 cent range. And there's plenty of other videos of Dark Defender and CoinsKid. And I just grabbed those two out of the 4 or 5 that we cover that have shown us that this could happen. And we covered it. But if you were focused more on the 175, 196, $2, 10, 13, 20 plus, you know, you didn't remember this part. But the reality is what they all are saying here is that even though we've come back and retraced and the prices fell off to this level, we are still on target for all those amazing price calls that they've had. The 272, right? The new all-time high, $5+, right? You know, the $9, the 1333, the $20+. All of that is still in play because we're still rolling between these areas that they are well aware of. So I think that's nice to have that as we go into this. You know, a reminder too is that there's another hearing on the 21st. I believe it is. So the 21st, we have another hearing for the SEC and Ripple in discovery process. We'll see if we can get some information on that and share it with everyone. And also, we could potentially, there is a window of opportunity that we may see a settlement before the end of the month as well. So head on a swivel out here. We don't know what's going to happen. And if it doesn't happen, we may be going full distance into September, October, and maybe even a little beyond that. But the reality is that there is a window of opportunity for that, just like the fact that the all-time high is still on the table. That's going to do it for me. That's your news, and that's where we are on this day. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe, leave a comment below, and share with somebody you know. Check out the links in the description box and the comment section. They're great products and services I use each and every day, and more importantly, they are trusted, vetted links. I'll catch all of you on the next one.